we've always made a speciality of dealing in architectural stone, particularly Romanesque capitals, things like that, mostly quite small objects. And Nick Fergusson is someone who always liked this material a lot. And I heard that something special was available. And it was in the house of the descendants of this great dealer, Joseph Altunian, who'd bought it in the 1920s. And I travelled down to Mâcon. The house was just outside Mâcon with Nick. The house was something absolutely extraordinary. Beautiful house, but with a big rambling garden with a swimming pool. And round the swimming pool was part of one of the cloisters that's now in New York. And everywhere, behind hedges, on tops of walls, there were lumps of Romanesque and Gothic stone. Absolutely fantastic place. And in a shed, not so far from the swimming pool, there was the major parts of this astonishing Romanesque wall.
This decorated wall is a fascinating puzzle. It once decorated a house on the edge of the settlement of Céreste in Provence. This preserved section of the original Romanesque facade marked the upper high-status living quarters, and the sculpted decoration on its exterior signaled the status of the interior space and its inhabitants. The elaborately carved frieze provided a pronounced dividing line between the low-status lower floor and the upper facade. While each of the 13 slabs of the frieze is different, their decoration imaginatively fuses geometric and vegetal motifs so close to the heart of Romanesque artists. The identity of the owners of this house and its precise function remain unknown. Whoever commissioned the residence, the project delivered not only an aesthetically pleasing facade, but a building of some architectural quality. The facade is remarkable as much for its decoration as for its survival. It reminds us what has been lost, and it offers us a glimpse of an entire lost corpus of secular Romanesque architecture.
There was a real demand for architectural stone, Romanesque sculpture, material like this early in the 20th century, partly because of Rockefeller and the cloisters, but also other museums who were collecting this kind of material. And Altunian was one of the 2 or 3 great suppliers. I think he used to travel all over Burgundy, but also the rest of France, looking for material for cloisters, derelict buildings, buildings that were being broken up and sold for the masonry. And he was one of the key suppliers of that kind of material. And the fashion for that sort of thing really died before the Second World War. And I think we're the first people who've really been active in that area since. And so the wall that Nick has is something that was really on the market since the 1920s. And the owners took it to the Carrousel du Louvre, to an art fair in Paris in 1984, and assembled it there. And it looked absolutely wonderful, but there was no client that they found for it. There was no client until Nick Fergusson appeared and took it home to Scotland.
And the reason I bought it was I absolutely fell for it as a unique piece of domestic Romanesque sculpture. Let's face it, how many are there left anywhere in the world? But secondly was its width. Sam rang me up and said, Nick, I don't know anyone nutty enough to buy 8.5 tons of Romanesque rubble. Are you interested? And I said, my only question was, how wide is it? Because we were just building this room to hold the collection. Well, not building it, it's been here for nearly 200 years, but we were doing it up to put the collection in. And frankly, if it had been 4 feet wider, I'd have said, forget it, not worth going to Macau. So we went off to see it in Macau, he and I just fell for it. And it was, each ashlar bit was bound up with bubble wrap, put in a big trailer, and trailed up behind a Land Rover to here, and we lifted it off with the tractor and did, as you can see, the biggest jigsaw puzzle in the history of mankind.